So let me give an example of something that looks like a native app. And in this case, it's the same RSS reader. If you have a look at that, it looks like exactly the same thing. Because you really can't tell the difference between something that was done in Accelerator and something that was done as a native app. And in fact, in Accelerator, it has the capacity to allow you to have two sets of views, so that if you want to have one set of views that are optimized for an iPhone and another set of views, but using the same underlying code optimized for Android, you can absolutely do that. So when would you go to a native app? It's a hard question to answer. There are some cases where it's absolutely obvious. The first case where it's absolutely obvious is if you need really high performance. If you're doing a third-person shooter or something with really complex graphics that requires a lot of physics and calculation and math under the hood, you're going to want to create a native application because you get substantially better performance writing the code in the language that was designed for the device. So in the case of an iPhone, I'm using as an example, if you're working with an iPhone, programming in Objective-C is going to give you a much, much better experience in terms of performance. So that's one compelling reason to use a native programming language. The downside with it, though, is that it's typically expensive and slow. It's hard to find developers who are experienced with Android and Java or who are experienced with Objective-C. And when you do find them, it typically takes them longer to build an app than it would do to take somebody skilled with either PhoneGap or Titanium Accelerator to build something. So you need to understand that you're really investing for the long run. And while a lot of people say, yeah, we want to make that big long-term investment, are you really ready for that yet? Do you know that people are going to use your mobile app? How do you know that? It often makes sense to prototype using something like PhoneGap first or Titanium Accelerator and then refactor or rebuild something as a native app once you're actually getting the traction and you're getting the users and you know that it's solving the problem. The one other thing I'd say around this too is I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs and I often ask them, so which mobile platform are you going to focus on first? And they're like, all of them. We want to have our maximum possible market share, so we want to have this available on every possible device. And almost always, my advice is pick one platform. It may not matter which one, but pick a platform where there is a sufficient critical mass of users that you can achieve what Mark Andreessen calls product market fit. Make sure that you've got the ability to take just one code base and iterate with that, because whatever you think your app should do is probably not what your customers are going to end up wanting it to do. And that has been the experience of almost any successful company I've spoken to. When you look at what they originally conceived of developing and what they ended up building, it often ends up being very different things. And the only way you can find that out is by, first you can do customer development, Steve Blank style, kind of get out of the building. But once you get beyond that, once you have to write code, you have to put it in people's hands and get their feedback as quickly as possible. So you want to pick an option that minimizes the time to do that. And because of that, if you really have to go native, make absolutely sure that you pick one platform. iPhone, Android, Windows Mobile, pick whatever works for you, for your demographics, for your need. And then once you've got those people, once you've hit product market fit, once you truly understand what they need, not because you think you understand it, not because they said they wanted to use it, but because you actually see them using the features and you're getting the analytics from the server side and seeing what methods are being called. Once you really know what people are using and you're getting great feedback, that's the time to then consider spinning up a second dev team or a third dev team to start supporting multiple platforms. Please don't try and do it up front, because otherwise you're going to find it slower and more painful to iterate, and you're much more likely to run out of money before you actually get to the point where you've achieved product market fit.